Hello again guys, welcome back to another Big Al Devlin video here at the House of Devlin, and today's video is actually a video dedicated to really trying to explain what magic is in paganism. I did a live talk with Celtic God, which if you haven't listened to or listened to at least parts of, because it is 4 hours long, it's quite a long talk, but I did a live talk on his channel and it's available on there, so go watch that, and we will describe and talk about magic to some degree at one point on the video. Please go check that out. There's a huge wealth of information shared between myself, Alvar, and Celtic God. All of us are fairly knowledgeable on paganism, and we're just sharing ideas, questioning each other on our ideas, and going, you know what, your story's different, but my story's different, and from that we learn, like, well, why are those differences there? And we develop our knowledge of paganism, and our depth of wisdom of paganism develops also. But as I say, this particular video is going to be not focused on paganism in general, but actually on magic. And what is magic? Because it's very hard to describe. It's such a simple concept. I mean, it's a hugely simple concept, but it's very hard to put into words because it is so simple. People think that magic is much grander than it actually is, but it's in its subtlety, in its more simplistic nature. It's hugely beautiful in many respects, and can be used to achieve a hell of a lot. Now, what does it allow you to achieve? Well, it allows you to achieve what any human being ultimately is able to achieve, but just at a greater level, and possibly, at a quicker pace, or something along those lines. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but what I'm going to say is my personal experience of magic, so to speak, is my body's ability to channel energies. Now, a lot of pagans are able to channel energies, and me, having gone through the waking dream, being a hammer of the gods, I can possibly channel energies a little bit easier than some other people, or to a greater degree than other people. But it doesn't mean that if you're just a normal, everyday pagan who hasn't died and come back and all the rest of it, that does not mean that you cannot channel energies too. The energies is what magic is, in its purest form. Because when you channel energies, what are you channeling? You're channeling life. And when you channel that life through yourself, oh my God, you have such a feeling of ecstasy. It's unbelievable. I understand now when I read the Eddas, when I read the texts and the scholarly reading, analysis of certain stories, and that when they describe the breath of ecstasy, for example, which Odin gave to us, Ask and Embla, the very first humans, when he gave us the breath of ecstasy and gave us, as a result, life. I understand what it is now. That breath of ecstasy that he gave us, we can still experience, and it's almost like having the gods within you or around you, and you can feel the energies from them flowing through you, and you can use that to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. Now, for me specifically, it's been my weightlifting. I've been going to the gym, and I've been going with this attitude that I just focus on four. Four is my focus. I'm not necessarily asking for him to give me his strength or his energies. I just use him as a focus, and I just think, okay, four. But then I just go on the weights, and I just want to enjoy it. I want to live it. I want to live that that experience of life. Lifting weights is just an experience, and I want to live it. I want to feel the life of doing it, because it's pushing my body, and it's making my body feel more alive than it could ever do. And what I do is I just keep pushing, and rep after rep after rep after rep, or as the weight increases, the harder I try, yes, my body may tire, but the less it feels it. The magic, the life, because life and magic are basically the same thing, sustains me and allows me to have a fortitude far beyond that which I was previously capable of. Now, does it give me strength? Yes, it gives me a bit of strength, but I'm not focusing it on strength. I'm focusing it on endurance. But when I go to lift the biggest weights that I possibly can, I have no doubt that I will be able to lift significant weights. I went on today just helping a friend who was struggling on squat, and I went on with no warm-up, and he had 160 kilograms, which is 320, about 360, 355 pounds, okay, on the bar. Now, I went on with no warm-up. I'd done legs yesterday. I'm tired, my muscles are tired. But I just went on there and I just thought, I'm here to teach, live, or whatever. And I just lifted the weight, went all the way down, went so low down, the bar touched the safety rack. I sat there, took my hands off the bar, put them back on, and then stood up back with the weight and racked it. And I said, that's how deep you need to go. Lower those safety racks for starters, possibly, because they're a little bit on the high side. But I went well below what's called parallel in powerlifting. I went well below what is expected of a lifter by about that much, So the safety racks were in a good position. It's just, obviously what I was trying to show him is, look at what you can do when you put your mind to it. But it's not about putting your mind to it. It's almost like switching your mind off in some ways, but keeping it. There's absolute clarity in your mind. Once you reach that point of absolute clarity, and you open your body to the energies that are around us. Magic is all around us. It's amazing. And it's hard once you've seen it, once you've felt it. And this is why where the difficulty comes in describing what magic is. Once you've experienced it, once you've seen it, once you've felt it flow through your body, it's like, well, why can't you see it? Why can't you feel it? It's hard to some degree. Now, I've only just recently began to be able to channel it within literally the last couple of weeks to the degree that I've been able to channel it, but to the point where I know, yes, magic is flowing through me. Life itself is flowing through me, and it's not flowing through me now. I can feel it, but I could evoke it if I wanted. But for what purpose? I mean, I'm sat down, I'm relaxing. I could use it to help me relax in a much deeper relaxation, almost meditative state, perhaps. But I'm not interested in doing that. And so I can feel the energies around me, but I'm not using them at this point in time. But when I'm at the gym, for example, I've got a purpose, a specific purpose. And that is to push my body, not just to its limits, but far beyond its limits. And I use the energies to do that. And by doing so, I obviously am improving my body, which is, for me, part of the purpose of why I'm here on Earth. Because as a hammer of God, I have to be, big, I have to be strong to be able to defend Freya when I go back to Fort Vangir. So there is a purpose behind why I am channeling the energies in such a way. Now, obviously, I will channel those energies in the ring also, and you'll see just someone just fights with ferocity, but a cold ferocity. What I mean by cold is there's no emotion to the rage. The rage is there. There's a ferocity. There's a rage, but rage is the wrong word, because you see people rage all the time in fights. They flail around, or they just go like that, and then they become mindless in that respect. But when you are able to channel magic or channel energies, you can evoke a rage that you're unattached to. There's, maybe that's because myself, I am unattached to my emotions anyway. I'm unattached to my pain in my body permanently, because of the nature of what I am as a hammer of the gods, as a berserker, if you wish to call me that, or druid, whatever. I am unattached all the time anyway, so it doesn't take much for me to unattach even further and just let my body do what it needs to do and let the flow of magic, the flow of energy fuel my body and direct my body into what it needs to do. My body knows what it needs to do. It's got reflexes. I've been fighting for 25 years. So, I just let it flow and I let it do what it does. And that's one reason why at the moment I don't have any spell partners, because, I break them. I don't hurt them because obviously I know the limits of their own bodies, but I break them by scaring them in many respects. They know they just can't handle what I'm able to put out, and so I really do hope. I'm so looking forward to being able to hopefully fight professionally in the MMA or the UFC or whatever it is, but in some form of MMA organisation, whether it's a BMAA or the UFC or K1, whatever it is. I want to fight, not because I enjoy fighting, although, as I say, when you've got that flow of ecstasy going through you, it invigorates the body, it invigorates you. You don't feel pain. You don't know your limits. Well, you may know your limits, but you don't care about them, and you go beyond them. And it's something like having a fight in a ring, for example, that allows you to focus yourself so much that you can channel those energies. It makes it easier when you've got a strong focus to be able to channel the energies. You're not trying to pull them into you; you're just letting them into you. It's like a flow of, like a waterfall. Okay, that's how I can describe the feeling of that ecstasy going into you. Is you're already under the waterfall, but instead of putting your hands above you trying to keep dry, you just remove your hands and just let it soak you, and open your mouth and let the water go into you and all the rest of it. And it's a bit like being under a waterfall. It's a poor metaphor in some respects, because waterfalls, obviously you can just imagine pain and stuff like this, but it's not like that. It's like a waterfall with no weight almost, I suppose, and you just open yourself to it and let the energies just flow through your body and then out, but then back in. I'm doing a poor job perhaps as describing it. I'm being over poetic perhaps, but the reasons I believe that there are very, very small ways to describe what magic really is. As I say, magic is life. But most people don't understand that. They go, "No, life is magic." Yeah, it's a miracle that life exists. It's hard to understand how we've got self-consciousness. No, I'm not talking about that, although that is magic in its own right. But it's life itself, that fact that everything's connected and you can draw on the life forces or the life around you. Life is around us, all around us. Even when you can't see it, it's there. It reverberates off, obviously, living beings, and that reverberation echoes through the air almost, and you can pick up on those reverberations. You can pick up on those almost like, as I say, like a flow of water or a wind or whatever you want to sort of visualize it, and you just open yourself to it and let the life flow through you, and it strengthens you because it strengthens your own life force. And that's really what true magic is in paganism. And obviously, when you can open yourself to the magic, when you can open yourself to the life forces that surround you, then you can learn to start channeling it into certain purposes. For me, it's always been about the physical. It's been about giving my body extra strength, extra endurance, extra clarity, extra rage, but rage with clarity, so I can fight in the ring and be an absolute handful. And I was a handful before, but an uncontrollable handful, to even the best of fighters. I can do that, but I haven't used, but there are other more peaceful ways of channeling the energy, as I did perhaps hinted at, regards meditation, regards experiencing out-of-body experiences. I know that a lot of pagans do have out-of-body experiences, and that's important, because when you separate your spirit from your body, which is something I think myself as a hammer of a god I would be able to do very easily, because I don't believe my spirit is fully attached to my body. It's already just sort of clinging on, so all I have to do is just kind of let go almost and have that experience. I haven't done it yet, and I don't want to do it until I know that I can control it fully, so that I can come back to my body when at will, because that would be a bit scary otherwise. Perhaps that is that fear, which there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be a fear there, because I'm not afraid, But there is perhaps a primal fear, a fear that all humans feel, for detaching themselves from their body. It's a big thing to ask for yourself, right? But having an out of body experience is letting your spirit out of your body. Once you do that, then you can do a lot of things. There's a lot of options available to you, such as communing with the dead, or seeing things that perhaps can't be seen, such as it makes it easier to see the strands of fate, so on and so forth. Now, I am able to see the strands of fate whilst within my body, and that's why I think I'm partially detached. It's only a partial view, but I can see the strands of fate, but I can't focus on them at the moment. But by now that I can finally channel energy, which is something very new to me, I feel that I will be able to, if I want, bring on those visions and use those energies, that life within me, to strengthen my spirit, strengthen my consciousness, strengthen my body, so that it isn't overwhelmed with the information that is going into me, or that is before me, and that will allow me instead to process the information far quicker, and to be able to focus on a very specific part, i.e. the past, the present, or the future. Now, I know Celtic God did say to me that there was, when he was guiding me on seeing the strands of fate, which I hadn't seen for a while. It is sporadic when I start to see the past, present, and future all at the same time. But he said, I think that it's easier to see the. I think it was I forget which one it is. But basically, I'm sure he'll comment. But there's one that is easier to go into and has less consequences. I.e., if you mess up, you're not going to change the future, for example. You're not going to change fate for what you're trying to focus on. So if you go into the future, something that hasn't happened yet, you could influence it possibly by going into it and changing things. And you could you don't want to be doing that, especially when you're just learning to enter the fates. But when you go into the past, well, yeah, that's it. The past is the easiest to enter and the safest to enter, because once you go into the past, well, the past has already happened. The fate has already occurred. You just go there as an observer, and you observe the past, and you see what happens. That's all you do. And it's not yours. As I say, I can see the fates of other people. I don't see my fate anymore, because I don't have a fate. As a Hammer of God, I don't have a fate anymore. And I think, as a result, possibly that's why I have amnesia, because I can't see the fate that I used to feel. I used to feel my fate. It used to guide me. I think that's why I had prophetic abilities, slightly uncontrolled, very uncontrolled, but I did have prophetic abilities before I underwent the crash and got the blow to the head and all the rest of it. And I just feel that it's harder for me to see my own future now and my own past than it is to see others. I never used to be able to see anyone else's future and past and present, but I can see it now. But I struggle to see my own. And I think that's because mine is completely undetermined. And my past, well, they're just memories. And because the fate was cut, and I have no way to access my own fate anymore, really. I'm a fateless man. I think that's why I struggle with my amnesia. Perhaps it's an idea. This is just a thought process. This is what paganism is about. It's about thinking and about pondering and about meditating or just questioning what is going on in the world. What is the world around us with the knowledge that we have? And we try to increase our understanding, not only of ourselves, but of everything and everyone around us. But anyway, I was talking about magic. And magic, as I say, most simply put, is life. And I've done a video before saying that, but now I don't just know it, I've felt it. And you can channel that life through you, and you can do some amazing things with it. You can do some really, really amazing things with it. And it's partly why I haven't filmed myself training as much recently. It's because I've just been so ecstatic, so full of energy. You've seen the lifts, so a couple of the lifts, but you've not seen a lot of it, because I'm just there to enjoy the experience of the iron, so to speak. I call them the iron gods, and when I say the iron gods, I mean Thor, Freya and Odin. I see them as the iron gods, and when I'm there, and I know that's an unofficial term, but it's just it's my personal relationship with them. In the gym, I go, praise the iron gods, and it's Thor, Freya and Odin, and I will call their names as I lift. Sometimes I will call for Thor to act as my spot, for example, because if you notice, when I lift, I don't have a spot, but in my head I have Thor spotting me. I know it's a strange way to visualize it, but when I'm channeling the energies, it feels as if that's the case. I know it probably literally isn't the case, I'm not nuts, okay, but it feels like it. And it just, as you can see, I've just been to the gym, and I have that slight after effect of the ecstasy within me. I feel so happy, so full of energy, whilst this life is within me, that it's there. And so that's why I'm trying to say that life is magic. Go watch the first talk, at least anyway, where we do discuss magic. I don't know what's in the second talk. I haven't had time to listen to it yet because I wasn't involved in it. But in the first talk, we do talk about magic a little bit, and then we do talk about what it's like to be a hammer of the gods, or a berserker, as you may know us, at the end. And we talk about general stuff like spirits and pixies and trolls and stuff like this. And if you're interested in paganism, those kind of talks, it's like they're the best kind of talks, because as we talked about in the video, we're afraid of where paganism might end up in the next 500 years time, roughly, because there are people talking about trying to create a pagan Bible, of writing down all the teachings into one singular book. And that's what we don't want. Even though it makes it easier for people to convert to paganism, it has its advantages. It can teach the pagan values perhaps to a wider audience. But we don't want a pagan Bible. A pagan Bible's never existed. And Bibles, books, you can't argue with them. It's an object. It won't argue with your back. It hasn't got a tongue. Okay? It hasn't got a personality. It's just adamant in its word. What is written becomes, over time, law. It becomes a singular direction. It's like a manual. It's telling you, do this, do that, do that, this, that. And it doesn't allow you to discuss what you're reading. All you're doing, essentially, when you pick up a Bible, for example, but in this case, if let's say a pagan Bible is written, is all you're doing is reading one person's interpretation of the stories, one person's understandings of the stories, and they may be very well correct for them, but the religion is not just for one person, it's for everyone who should be pagan. All pagans should have access to paganism in their own understanding. I'll do a second video on it now, but thank you. And that's what magic is. Magic is life. And I'll do this other video now.